one that jumps out at me, and that was the day that the cattle got out onto Tibbetts Road, and your officer that responded were out of their vehicle and walking them home. I just wanted to make it clear. There's more to this. Okay? There's a pattern. It's right here. It will be presented to you. There's more to this than you think. Okay? Because what was said last week and what has happened to me, I have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Jones, bringing her paperwork. This last one, this particular police report, I went out to Tibbetts Road because when I was in the first selectman's office, I get things fixed. Everything I do, I have a paper trail. I got some police there. Her and I had our discussion. You know, we had our discussion, and it was left an open-ended comment. The open-ended comment was, I was out on Tibbetts Road this morning. I was driving down Tibbetts Road this morning, and I saw a leopard paint on the car. Well, obviously, everybody in here knows what we discussed last meeting. And I'm quite sure all of you on the board are aware of what's going on 63 Tibbetts Road. But I am not a public speaker. But when a comment is made like that, I had said to her, well, there's surveyors out there. Maybe I ought to go out and check. I did a 10-minute video on Friday. There was nothing on this one. Correct. Monday I went out and drove to the council department. I started my video, and I'm not thinking that I would ever need this. I was at the first selectman's office. She said, we were paint on the road. Well, I'm going to go out there because it's different and see what the heck is going on. I videotaped this. Not knowing I was headed into a bee's nest. I get up almost to the stop sign, and I don't even know the address. But I have the 10-minute video, and I'm not recording property. I'm recording pavement. That's exactly what I do. And the next thing I hear, you know who that is? Well, yeah, I know who that is. Well, I'm going to call the police. Well, would you like me to dial the phone for you? And I said my name. The report said I was hollering out the front of the house. The video said otherwise. I don't appreciate being put in a situation like that. Normally, if you have a police investigation going on, the first selectman does not turn around and say, oh, I saw red paint on the road. It's not a gossip session. Okay? I didn't appreciate it. And that's all I have to say. There's more to this to come. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Good evening, I'm Melanie Anderson from 8 Tibbetts Road in Seymour. I'm here tonight to continue my quest to have all businesses stopped at 63 Tibbetts Road. I'm very aware that the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting is this Thursday, and I would just like to keep you informed of the current events that have occurred since your last meeting, which was not 2 weeks ago, but 4 weeks ago. Businesses are running as usual, large trucks and equipment in and out daily. Splitting wood continues. There have been 4 Sunday night fires at 63 Tibbetts Road. One of them was so far out of control that 9 tanker trucks came in to put it out. All these fires occur in the dark, not during the daylight. It's after 5 o'clock. Okay? Wednesday, October 26th, the owner of Tibbetts Road, was driving by my home while I was outside in my yard speaking with a gentleman that was delivering propane to my house. He backed his truck up and he made rude and profane comments to me while I was speaking to the gentleman. Neither one of us commented to him, and my back was to him. Monday, October 31, we woke up to find our home, our car, garage, and driveway were doused with red barn and fence paint. 1,000 gallons of water needed to be brought in because we have wells. We can't get rid of that without water coming in. 2 power washes, and 8 hours later, the paint was gone. November 6th now, we have a new commodity coming in. At 10:57 p.m., a large trailer rolled in with hay. It was brought into 63 Tibbetts Road. 10:57 p.m. we're running out. Sunday morning, this Sunday morning on November 13th, a large dump truck came in with a farm name on it, but it was loaded with hay and drove out. So now we have hay being distributed from that address. The operations run on 63 Tibbetts Road do not belong in a residential zone, and I just wanted to make you aware of it happening. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? State your name and address for the record, please.
Matt Anderson, 8 Tibbetts Road. Where to stay? Here we go. Been there for about 12 years. Over that time, there's been a huge increase in the number of commercial vehicles going in and out of our street, specifically in and out of 63 Tibbetts. This was a quiet, rural, residential neighborhood. Now we have the constant noise and traffic of logging trucks, dump trucks, bucket trucks, Mack trucks, dragons, low boys, stacked with timber, all going into the 63 where that wood gets cut up, chainsaws, conveyor belts, and firewood, and the truck backing out. Commercial enterprise in a residential street. All the homes on the street are large. Kind of incumbents. And then each day you have all the requisite workers to do all this work going in and going out every single day. Things have slowed down a bit since all this came about, but there's still trucks in and out every day. Sunday evening, dump trucks going in, pulling trailers, person coming. Still a lot of activity going on there. Subsequent to speaking of at this meeting, our home got doused
name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Alfiero, 63 Village Road. The red paint they're talking about, I know nothing about. Unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen to good people. They make a lot of complaints about dirt bikes and quads, dump trucks. They're just complainers, you know. So a lot of people that don't like them maybe did some things. They're also mission things. So they, you know, you do have very good police department. I'm sure between fingerprints and everything else, they're going to get to the bottom. The truck with hay on it is a farm. I don't know what to tell you. Just following up on the red paint, because a lot of fingers get pointed at me on that. Not quite sure or understanding it. No cops have questioned me on it, and I didn't hear anything about it from my mom, so can't help you with that. But the trucks, I'm sure between zoning and things going on with the farm, we're going to get that straightened out. Right.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Sure, I can speak. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Is there any other public comment going 3 times? We will close public comment. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the October 18th, 2020 town meeting. As you know, that is the last time this board has met.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the special town meeting from October 18th, 2022.
Motion by Trish Danka, second.
Seconded.
Second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Thank you. Item B, October 18, 2020 regular meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those meetings?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 18th, 2022 regular meeting.
Motion by Trish Danka.
Second.
Second by Chris Bowen. Discussion. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Discussion and take possible action regarding hiring a Parks and Recreation Manager. Mary McNillis is here to discuss.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. As you know, Jeff Peterhoff has left us. We've been in kind of a hiring mode. Trying to give you some stats on what happened. The position was posted on September 30th through October 14th. It was posted on the town website, CCM job board, Republican American, CRPA, which is Connecticut Recs and Parks Association, and Indeed. The town received a total of 74 resumes. Yes, a lot. We narrowed that down and phone screened 13 of those. We then brought in 6 interview persons. The panel then, we had a panel that was put together. The interview panel presented the top candidates to the Recreation Commission. The Recreation Commission then provided a list of their top 3 candidates. As required by the charter, we're bringing those 3 candidates to all of you for final approval. And the top candidate from the Recreation Commission was John Spracker. That's who we're looking to hire.
Thank you. What is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve John Fracker for the position of Director of Community Parks and Recreation Manager.
Motion by Trish,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Has Human Resources been involved in this process,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Pelosi?
That's absolutely, this is part of the plan.
Are the minutes, are any of the discussions from the interviews available on the town website?
I don't.
I would guess, I would assume not, but
No, we don't.
any minute meetings, anything that was discussed in the published part of your meeting, I'm sorry.
From the recognition meeting?
Yes.
It was a special meeting, so
Okay.
there will be, there are meeting notes from that, yes.
And the interviews were just conducted by the Recreation Commission?
No, they were conducted by Chris Pelosi, myself, and Recreation Commission members. And then those names were brought to the Recreation Commission, presented to them, they did a discussion, and then we went through the document.
Very well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Selectman Stanek?
The nominee, the recommended candidate, is there a resume we could just review?
I don't have his resume. Rory?
I mean, I agree with your recommendation, but I would just like to know a little bit about the candidate, that's all.
Sure, I can tell you about him as well.
Okay,
if you'd like
fine.
me to. He
Fine.
graduated from WestCon. He has a health and leisure background, a degree in health and leisure, which is right up our alley. That's what he did before. A BS, a Bachelor's of Science. He worked for PALS, which is the Danbury Police Academy, for several years. He grew their programming over several years. They doubled their programming. He worked with everything from young adults to youth to seniors. He did all of their scheduling, their program development. He hired contractors. He did background checks. He's done social media. He did marketing. He also worked for a school system and worked very closely with parents and intakes. He also worked in the intramural department of WestCon as well. So he's very well versed in the industry. Definitely, the commission felt that he was a top candidate, and honestly, I agree with him. So yeah, he's very well qualified for the position.
Okay. Well, I trust your judgment, your recommendation. It's just that if we're acting as a body, hiring somebody, I'd like to know a little bit about the
Sure,
individual.
absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Yeah, no problem. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't.
That's good.
Thank you.
Hi, and just to let this board know, when we are hiring at directors and above, they come to us. When it's the managers, we just pretty much take the commissions and the directors' opinions because they have interviewed with them, just so that you all know that.
No, I understand that, but, as an individual.
No,
member
of
the board,
course.
I'd like to know a little bit about the individual.
As
Absolutely.
long as Mr. Pelosi signs off, I see no reason to say no.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Number 6, discussion take possible action regarding the Economic Development Consulting Agreement in your packet. You have a couple of pages, and we have the EDC here today. Brian and Roxanne Finley are here, right?
Hi, everyone. Brian Sirowich, 12 Field Street, Seymour. I'm with Roxanne Finley. She's also a board member. I wanted to just quickly talk about Sheila O'Malley and the momentum she's brought to the town since being here for less than a year. As most of you have seen in the last meeting, she provided a little presentation on some of the things conducted and where we're going. And I just wanted to touch on a few of those things as we move forward in discussions on her future contract. In less than a year, Sheila's brought in almost $4 million worth of grant funding or earmarks from other government entities, which I don't think the rest of us would probably have the wherewithal to do. She has that experience, and we're tapping into it on a part-time fee, and the amount of work she does is second to none. She's a roll her sleeves up and get to work kind of person. She's not busy with going to conferences and things like that, which are all part of her job, but she's too busy trying to meet expectations for the two towns she works for, county and the city. In year 2, she's working on another $10 million grant to extend the Route 42 corridor, which is a priority project for the town. Not only the town, but all of the valley, if you think about it, especially between Beacon Falls and Seymour, and some of the things with TOD and other items that are expected to move forward. I can't explain enough that how much Sheila understands the pulse of the valley. She's from the valley, she's from Waterbury, and she knows what it takes to work in our area, and some of the constraints we have financially. And she's been instrumental in helping educate the rest of our group and our team moving forward. Some of the near-term goals we're working on moving forward are the redevelopment of our priority sites. We know what those sites are, right? We need to
Seymour Lumber is under contract right now.
That's good. And, but it's also other things. It's bringing some of our community together, our small business, using some of our cultural items that we have, like the Strand Theater, and bringing, like I said, the small business together, and hopefully moving forward with other items soon to be discussed. I think it's really important to have an economic development director on more than just a one-year contract. These projects take longer than a year to develop. There's the design phase, there's the construction phase. When you're in the construction phase, you're looking for more financial wherewithal to see these things come to completion and fruition. And if you're gonna have somebody here for 1 year at a time, then you're losing momentum, and you're dealing with bringing people up to speed, and probably losing efforts on other financial aspects that I don't need to go into detail further. I think we all know what that entails. She's also assisting other departments, other volunteer groups in the town. Sheila and I recently met with the Conservation Department, and Pete has a Connecticut Trails Grant Assistance Program that we're looking into. Application, I think, comes out in December 2022, and we're looking to work with the conservation group and see what we can do with that. That grant has a match. I'm not sure exactly what that is. We'll have to figure out the details of that, but it's just another one of the other items that Sheila is doing to assist our town. And one thing I can say is that being new to economic development in town, I've been here for a little while, and Sheila's been here for a year. There's always room for growth and performance reviews, and communication is the key to making sure that we all kind of know what our expectations are and room for improvement. So keep that in mind when we're discussing things that we want to do and get better at. And it's either an email, a call, or a text away. So if there's any communication items ever, just feel free that we're all around and only away.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I said in front of you is her contract. I did find one thing, Rory, well actually Trish found it. It's for fees and expense. The town agrees to pay the consultant and consultant fee of $3,753, but in parentheses it says $13,750 per quarter. I would love if Sheila will work for $3,750 per quarter, but I don't think that's really what she's going to do.
Such a deal I got for you.
Such a deal.
Shouldn't have said anything. It
Say
says.
that, then look at that money we're saving. So if we can fix that, is there any other, absolutely.
I will double check that and I'll make sure it's correct. Sheila, her question is quarterly rather than monthly,
Okay.
which I believe is the finance director. She needs to get the quarter provision at the end of that paragraph that if she should not complete a quarter for whatever reason, it will be prorated at the end of that. So I will check those numbers. The quarterly number is correct.
Okay.
The quarterly number in the parentheses is correct. Is that what you're saying?
$13,750 because that's $55,000.
Because
per
right
year.
now you have the 3,750.
$13,650 is correct. You're welcome.
The quarterly number is correct.
13,750. You're clear though, you have to fix how it's written out. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other comments? Questions?
not that I haven't a quarrel with anything in the agreement, who put the agreement together?
This is the exact agreement that was approved last year. The only changes are the terms.
What was the amount on the initial, please?
50,000.
The amount was 45, and the lease is 55.
I'm just going to speak off the cuff here, because now that you're saying that, we really have to like rein back giving these huge increases every time people are up for review or recontract. She's part-time, right? I'm not in favor, I'm not saying she's not worthy, I'm not making any of those kind of comments, but when we bring people up for review as a town, we're using fixed dollars from the taxpayers, and I realize this is a municipality and not private business. It's always the argument I get in with everybody. I respect that. However, it doesn't sit well with people, and I am against continually giving these huge increases to people when contracts are up, when we're reviewing for raises, and that's going to be my comment, because that's a huge increase most people don't see annually again. Yeah.
Hi, Art Brian Sirwitz again.
Sure.
I just want to reiterate that what Sheila's done. If you go to other entities in the town or in the area, when you're looking for grant assessments and items like that, some take 10% of what they bring into the town. So, I'm not going to talk about anybody's salary or anything like that, 'cause it's not necessarily. I think Sheila's all worth it. But if you were going to talk about a 10% fee for a $10 million project, that would be $1 million going to just another entity doing it instead of it going to the town for infrastructure design and construction costs.
So that's true typically in economic development. I don't know that background, so that's good for me to know, but they take a fee for every grant they bring in?
That's correct. And
Okay,
in
well,
our
that's good to
case,
know.
Our part-time economic development director is not taking a fee. Right.
Okay.
You could look it up.
No, I appreciate that
And
background. I'm
you
not
would say
aware.
that's where, this is a 22% increase that we're talking about in terms of monetary compensation, you're saying right now, that's worth that?
I'm saying more than worth it. $10 million, potentially $4 million over a 22% increase is
$4 million
more
in
than
a
worth it.
year's time.
You know,
Talking about.
and this isn't the last one that we're going to go after for our town. There's a lot more that we're working for, and this is only the beginning, so.
Can you just clarify for me one more time so I'm straight? Sometimes I'm a little slow. So if they bring in a $4 million grant, before the town gets that $4 million grant, they're taking a percentage off the top of that away from the grant that the town cannot
I'm not sure if
use?
it's before or after, but I know there is a percentage that some of the regional groups pay for their planning and administration.
Okay.
Preparation for that. And Sheila's team is usually her and a few volunteers that do the work. And it's not to put money in the volunteers' pocket, it's money to benefit the community, the town itself. So.
Okay, thank you for that background. I appreciate it.
I do have a comment to make. I was extremely skeptical when we made the hire. I'm sorry?
I hit my,
Oh, no, I saw him tapping his pen like I saw Brian tapping his pen like he wanted to say. Oh, okay. I was sure he needed to say something.
That's a secret signal.
Sorry. I apologize for that. I was very skeptical to hire because Sheila has a similar job in Ansonia that pays more, and I wanted to ensure that things were done to the standards of the town of Seymour. Having worked with her and having listened to people that have worked with her, many people in this room started on economic development years ago to try to hire a candidate that would move this town forward. I think she's come through in spades, honestly. And the work that she's doing and some of the off-hour work that she does, I think is definitely worth, I would have liked a little advance notice that we were going to be giving such a large increase, personally. I feel that was kind of dropped on us, but in terms of monetary compensation for the work that this person does, I do think it's worth that. And I'm willing to eat a little crow, considering how skeptical I was at the hire in the first place. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you. Selectman Bowen? Is there any other comments or questions?
Firepower Consulting LLC.
That's her name?
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
No other discussion. Can I have a motion to accept the contract and move it forward on the draft form with the change of the 3,000 to 13,000?
So you can have so maybe the motion perhaps should be to authorize the first select woman to enter into an agreement regarding economic development consulting services in such form as is acceptable to the town attorney's office.
So moved.
Motion by Pat Lombardi,
Second.
second by Chris Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0.
And so we'll make sure that change gets in appropriately, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding the IQS agreement. The IQS agreement, if you remember, is what Leanna, at our last meeting in October 18th, came to us and talked to us about the changing over to the land record management system. This is the plan that they sent over to us. We will have town attorneys look it over, make sure it is all legal, make sure it is, will protect the town.
Madam First Selectwoman, we have done that, and I've sent back one comment in particular, which will have to be addressed by them regarding the term of the agreement and renewal. So once that's done, other than that, the agreement is fine.
Can I have a motion to accept?
Or a motion to authorize the first selectwoman to enter
That too.
into the contract for record management systems and services in such form as is acceptable to the town attorney.
That one.
So moved.
I
By
will
Chris
second the
Bowen?
motion.
Second by Fred Stanek. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Packet number 8, discussion and take possible action regarding the 2023 meeting schedule. So Rory went through, we did the schedule, we looked at Election Day, we moved Election Day, and we moved the December date because Great Hill Hose always invites, the 4th of July.
Make a motion that the 2023 meeting schedule be approved as presented.
Motion by Pat Lombardi,
Second.
second by Trish Stanka. Discussion.
Someone did go verify these dates work and are accurate, right? Okay. Remember, I can call you on that when we find out.
Yeah,
It's like a Thursday.
Back before you, I'll apologize.
Because I usually double check it and I didn't do that.
Any further discussion?
We'll just thank you, Rory, so that we don't do this in December, which entails a special meeting, because we don't meet the 30-day window.
Thank Leanna, because Leanna sent out a
Saw that
reminder.
email, yes.
Did we remind the other boards?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Can I have all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion motion moved 5-0. Number 9, set special town meeting Tuesday, December 6th, 2022 at 6:45 to discuss the supplemental appropriation of ARP, American Rescue Plan funds, in excess for $100,000 for the backhoe for Public Works. In your packet from W.I. Clark Company. Now remember, this is for December, but we have to put the order in early because of the backing of the machines. They're so backed up, it's not even funny. It's a W.I. Clark Company. Mr. Lombardi, I will turn this over to you as you are the chairman of Public Works.
Thank you. this is the Volvo, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so,
Nope, this is the John,
no, it's not.
This is not the payload.
this is not the
It's not
payload.
the payload. This is something else.
Yep.
Okay.
This is the John Deere 410 P. Loader.
Fine, if I may.
The backhoe loader.
Public Works Department had, they currently have a payloader and a backhoe, one of each.
Right.
You all and the Board of Finance authorized an additional payloader because that one, the one that they have is nearing the end of its useful life. And if that were to go down during a snowstorm, we would be in big trouble. The backhoe recently went down, I believe. And so this had been on your spreadsheet for a long period of time of ARP purchases. And the director requested that we just start the process because he believes it may be next summer by the time it arrives.
This isn't the backhoe that's up the transfer station.
This would be a second, because likewise that one is
Yeah.
somewhere between the second half of its useful life.
Yeah. I just wanted to be clear.
What are the accessories that are gonna be needed, because I see that that's completely separate. So what are we expecting we are going to need as far as accessories?
In terms of ARP purchases, it would just be what is on that sheet. Any accessories would be separate.
Do we need any accessories, though? That's my question. Because if we do, we're gonna have to take them from town funds, right?
Yeah, it would be up to the Public Works Department to budget that.
Do you know if we need any, Mr. Lombardi? I know you're getting like called like on the spot.
It's used primarily at the transfer station.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
It's
Rory?
used primarily at the transfer station. So I don't know if there are any, attachments necessarily. It's used to move materials around the transfer station.
So they don't need any? And if they
do, it will be up to them to budget. We will purchase the.
can they function without accessories in the meantime?
They have an existing one, right? So any accessories they need, presumably they already have.
Okay. I just don't want to spend the money knowing they can't use it and are going to require something else we might not currently have the budget for. That's just so you know why I'm questioning.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sound good, Pat?
Yeah, I'll check. I'm sure when you, send it off for proposal, that was in his thought process, but I'll double check.
Thank you.
Right.
We're just in discussion.
Right. Just confirming.
Renee, when you guys are pricing it back, and you're talking about accessories, you guys make sure that these couplers and everything that they're doing, because John Deere changed for coupler, and you can still buy old style couplers. So your attachments that you have right now, they're in very good shape, will be compatible with the backhoe, but you need to make sure that the dealer is giving you old style couplers. It'll save you about $6,000 to $8,000 in the long run. I own these machines, I know exactly what I'm talking about. As long as you make sure when you're ordering machines, get the old style couplers, all your attachments are, I forget what they're called, like your forks, whatever you need, will be compatible with the new one. And also, I don't know if they're trading the old one in, but I believe that would be a very good help to the town dump, considering the one that's there is basically dead. I think for the amount they want to give you on trade, would be pretty deep.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. I'll check into it. Thank you. Can I have a motion to move this forward? Are you going to change Mr.
If I may,
Selectman Stanek?
There was discussion about the attachments. If there are needed attachments for the new machine, why would that not be part of this package?
First of all, we don't know if they need attachments for this machine.
Okay.
This is just the backhoe that is being used up at the transfer station. And right now, we're putting this on because they are 12 months behind. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pat and Rory. They're 12 months behind in delivery
I understand.
and all that. So we wanted to get this in, they wanted to get this in and ordered. I I'm going to guess as Frank Gabinelli, as the Director of Public Works, looked
That
at
he
this,
considered it.
considered everything he needed and put everything that he needed in this backhoe. It's not a backhoe that we're gonna be using downtown to removing snow from the parking lots to dump it at the community center. Maybe, possibility, could be, right? This is the one that is replacing the one up in the transfer station.
So is it fair, can I make a motion to approve this to move forward so it doesn't hold us up? Confirming, once Pat
Yeah.
has first confirmed that this has already been thought of and settled and it's
And I
usable
would just
without.
make one comment.
And with the-
Obviously, there was some communication from the first select woman and Frank about this, because this is like the first.
That's an assumption.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
Okay, I won't make that assumption, but I'm just telling
Do
you.
you mind being charged to have that conversation with Frank first,
No,
though,
I
before we?
don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve it to move forward, providing that Mr. Lombardi has first confirmed with our Public Works, with Frank Gabinelli, that
This is exactly how she,
these attachments or the accessories are not needed immediately, will still be functional, and that we'll have the proper fittings to reutilize whatever's already on the current machine.
So are you asking, I'm a little confused, you're setting a special town meeting with a provision that it's acceptable, going forward is acceptable to Mr. Lombardi?
When, you guys will have to come back at the next
You
meeting.
come back anyways, right.
We
don't have
So
to
we
make-
can get
we can't
definitive
move this forward,
answers
right?
on all of this before you vote officially.
You can
This
move
is
it
just a
forward.
set
You can
the
move it
town
forward and
that's
set the
exactly
date.
what this is for.
Okay, so my apologies.
You're gonna vote
I like
again.
to muck things up and keep people
Yep.
on their toes, please. We know this,
Right,
right?
just set it, you can set it down, and then you're gonna be addressing this again, and in the interim,
Okay,
there'll be discussions.
in the meantime, thank you.
We can have,
I don't think she's gonna get a
We're not making
second.
motion for that, nope. I was just making sure everybody,
The motion is just for the date of December 6, 2022 for a special meeting. That's what the motion is. Under discussion, we were talking about
Yeah,
that, but the
okay.
motion was for the special meeting date.
we didn't. I'll make the motion to set the special meeting for December 6th, 2022 at 6:45 to discuss a supplemental appropriation of ARP funds in excess of $100,000 for a backhoe for Public Works.
Motion by Trish,
Seconded.
second by Chris Bowen.
If I may. If this machine needs new attachments that we cannot use from the machine we have or that we have in stock, why are we not taking the motion to purchase the backhoe and needed attachments?
This machine it's being purchased through a purchasing consortium.
I understand.
So we'll get to Frank before you meet again, but my understanding is that you're purchasing the base model. It's like when we purchase a police car and then outfit it separately.
Well, we're asking for the town meeting to approve the purchase of a backhoe. If Frank comes back asking to spend another $5,000 for an attachment that's needed, why don't we just include that as part of the town meeting call? Backhoe and needed attachment.
Because we only need a special town meeting for $100,000 or more, and if the attachments are less than $100,000, I don't need a special town meeting.
Correct. When you do
I
the final
understand that.
allocation, we can add in any attachments if they're ready. To your
And-
I understand that, but if we're putting this on the town meeting agenda and we're putting it out to the public, why don't we make it clear that we're going to use in excess of not only the backhoe, but the additional attachment of ARP funds, and we'll approve that next time.
Well, when
I'm not being critical.
Selectwoman
I'm trying
Dragonis,
to be-
how,
You
when
just
do we
made
need
this
to?
so
I'm being a lawyer.
complicated with your
My
your-
question.
with your
Listen, I'm a
question.
finance person. Listen. So when do you have to have this, when does the special town meeting need to be set?
Well, we set it for December 6th because we were trying to get everything put into the December 6th meeting.
Right, but
hoping
when
that
do you
we
have to
didn't-
file that in order to have it for
The day
December
before.
6th?
10 days in advance.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can we just get an answer and then
10 days.
we don't need to file it and First Selectwoman can give us an update at the next meeting if we don't need it?
No, we don't, because we don't meet until December.
Oh, well. Oh, my, I'm
Yes, I
really
would
Yes,
batting
Chris,
a
go ahead.
thousand tonight.
Yes, Selectman Bowen?
I do feel the need to note that we have a public works director who reports to a board, who is paid, we hired him earlier this year to know things like attachments and what is needed. So while I can appreciate the feedback, we're also basing a motion off of out-of-order discussion from a member of the public audience. We have somebody on our staff who is paid to be a director level knowing this. I would assume that the attachments are part and parcel of this, and I would caution that we can move this meeting forward, and if there's a thing that needs to be discussed during the public meeting, where we solicit comments from the public, that would be the time to discuss.
Well, that's actually not true, because I
That's not
was,
true,
I
because
was reading it in
Trish brought
here.
it up, and Mr. Alterio was just giving his opinion about making, just letting us know that we can use the old stuff with the new stuff. So he was just giving his opinion on that.
And it's listed in the letter, that's why I brought it up. It has nothing to
It
do
was
with the
Trish
public.
that brought it up.
Understood, but we also have a public comment for.
Which had
comments
nothing,
from-
but that had nothing to do with what I was questioning and trying to do though. I brought it up solely based on what's listed in the letter with W.I. Clark Company. Just to be clear, that's
Okay.
where that came from.
So what
But
I
we-
will do is I will make sure that Frank is here for a special meeting, and he can answer all the questions at that time.
That would be great.
Because if you told me that this was a coupling as opposed to a pen, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I just know it's a machine, and I know what it does. The internal parts, I don't know.
So just to, as a member of the board, the reason I questioned it is because if we're going to approve the funds to be used, we want to make sure they're used wisely and we can use the equipment, which I am confident Mr. Gavinelli has already looked at, but I don't want to find out later, okay, now we're looking for town funds because we can't use it until such. That's why.
I understand your comment.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
I understand your comment, but the motion was just to set a special town meeting for December 6th.
Well, I got a
at
little
6:40.
lost in that detail.
I understand you did, but it's to set a special town meeting for December 6th. Can we just focus on the motion on the table, December 6th, 6:45, to discuss the supplemental appropriation of ARP funds in the excess of $100,000 for a backhoe for public works?
Yep, I made the motion.
Motion by
I
Trish,
seconded it.
second by Chris Bowen. We've had our discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0.
Might also be getting lightheaded from all the orange stuff.
I like to keep this out as late as possible. Not really.
Get it? 10, discussion take possible regarding the affordable housing plan. In your packet, Rory Burke has put the affordable housing plan that we have to have into the state by December, wrong thing I grabbed, in your packet. So, real quick, affordable housing plan should not be confused with accessory dwelling units. Even though it's part of their plan, it is not part of what the board spoke about last night. Correct? But you call it affordable housing plan, and the Valley Foundation and the Chamber calls it workforce.
Correct, they are synonymous.
Thank you.
So yes, the state of Connecticut passed a law that requires every municipality to have an affordable housing plan by, I believe, June 1st, 2022. It is obviously past that. We applied for an extension to give us a little more time to get together through December 31st of this year. What you have in front of you tonight is a draft. I'm presenting it to you tonight with the hopes that you will take it home and digest it, and hopefully we can come back at the December meeting to approve it so that we can meet our statutory requirement. This plan is almost exactly the Naugatuck Valley COGS regional housing profile, except just with Seymour related data as opposed to the entire valley. And so essentially what it does is, provide definitions of what affordable housing is, get into Seymour's demographic information and housing information, providing all sorts of data as to our housing stock, and then it gets into the cost of housing in Seymour. And so, something I'd like to highlight in the affordable housing definition section is that it is statutorily defined. It is related to area median income. It is a percentage of that. If you take a look at the second page, the table there, you can see what we're talking about. For a 4-person family, 80% of area median income is almost $80,000. We're not talking about extremely low income levels. Connecticut is a very expensive state, as everyone is aware. And so, as Anne-Marie mentioned, this is called workforce housing now because it's where people live. People need a place to live. The information in the housing profile basically demonstrates that there was very little housing built between the market crash in 2008 and the present. Almost all of the Valley's housing growth has been in Shelton. And so if you want to live in Seymour, it can be very difficult, particularly post-COVID, when the market has gone pretty crazy, both in terms of housing costs, and if you take a look, there's also rent information in here. And likewise, you're talking $2,000 a month for a family of 4. This is not extreme low income levels. This is a plan for how we can build housing that people can afford. And so beyond all the data, there's a section at the end that goes into some of the strategies that are recommended. A lot of them, most housing development is privately funded. So the town's role in that is, very minimal. What it basically comes down to is educating staff on programs that are available, and then taking a look at our zoning regulations to try and align them with various state and federal funding programs that can help increase affordable housing stock. And then, as Anne-Marie mentioned, looking at things like accessory dwelling units, in-law apartment type dwelling units. That will be on your next agenda anyway, because the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to opt out of the state's accessory dwelling unit regulations. And so that section is actually blank while we try to work through what that means in this draft. So take a look. If anybody would like to have a conversation with me, I'm happy to do it. As I mentioned, I wrote very little of this. This is almost exactly the Naugatuck Valley COGS regional housing profile. Savannah Nicole Vialba, who was a town planner in Seymour, wrote that document for the COG. She is exceptional. It's a great document. That document is available on the COGS website if you'd like to look at it. So if anybody has any questions now, that's great. If not, this will be back on the agenda on the 6th.
Go ahead, Selectman Stana.
If I may, thank you. Has the appropriate State Department provided any guidance with regard to interpretation of the law, especially with regard to the accessory unit section that you just said? We have blank because it doesn't appear that we understand it.
Well, I can address that if you'd like. You have, this is if you do not opt out of the accessory dwelling unit provisions in the state statute before December 31st, you're defaulted into what the state has as your regulations. No matter what your zoning regulations say, you now have what the state regulations say. You have accessory dwelling regulations right now. So there was a discussion at the meeting, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about this, where the zoning commission is in the process of reviewing, and there's a draft of an entire new set of zoning regulations that also has accessory units. So they chose to opt out. So instead of having the state default, they can tailor the accessory dwelling units specifically to Seymour in a format that works for this community. So that's why they did that.
And does
that.
Seymour need to tailor in accordance with criteria set forth in the statute? I haven't read the
Interestingly, no.
statute.
No, if you, if you
What's the
opt
purpose-
out,
What's the purpose of the statute?
two municipalities that do nothing will
No,
now
that
have
section of the statute.
the opt-out section,
Yeah.
so that if you opt out, you can either have no
I
accessory dwelling regs or make your own that you think are better than the state's or more appropriate. And that's what this commission has chosen to do.
So the state came up with all or none?
Yes.
Oh,
I
that's
said-
fine.
Well, it's not, oh no, it's not all or none. The state came up with something saying if you do nothing, you're going to have this.
So if you don't have.
But if you do something, you can do whatever you want. You can do nothing or more than the state has or less than the state has or something in between.
I sat in on a
It's interesting.
legislative committee meeting for CCM that was discussing affordable housing. And as you can imagine, there are communities in Fairfield County and Hartford metro area that are saying explicitly that they have no housing affordability problem. They are 100% fine with the way that things are. They like the way that things are. And then you have on the other side of it cities like New Haven and Waterbury that are saying, yes, you have a problem. The people are just living in our cities instead of these towns. And so,
Well, wouldn't it be so?
basically, what's happening is any legislation that's being put forward is this kind of opt-out legislation, where either you're automatically opted out and you must opt in, or you must opt out by X date, otherwise you're automatically opted in for any kind of house kind of regulation. I've reviewed the regulations that Brian's discussing, and it's very, it's middle of the road. It is, among other things, it caps the size of the unit, the accessory dwelling unit. They must be on the same utility meter as the primary dwelling unit. They must abide by all other zoning regulations. And this is the
Setbacks, yeah.
prerogative of the Planning and Zoning Commission, but just so you all have an idea.
Thank you. Which they're gonna push to us.
But this just happened Thursday, so that's why.
Well, I'm glad the commission opted out.
Any other
Right, it was on
discussion
Thursday,
on the
right.
work plan? On the
Time
work,
flies.
on the, I keep calling it work. Thank you, affordable housing. 'Cause it was always a quick one. Any other discussion? No? Further discussion?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Do we have metrics? So I see that the median household income by Connecticut, 80% is $55,950 for one person. For the sake of argument, I'll stick to that number. Do we have information saying what our median income is and how it compares to the state? The reason I'm asking is because I'm willing to bet those numbers are very skewed by the very same people who say they have no affordable housing problems, namely Fairfield County and the Hartford metro area. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I'm trying to think if maybe census data would include that.
I've seen some of the census data, I was just wondering, yeah, that's basically where I'm going, is just, do we have something to compare this number to our number and
I
say?
would recommend you take a look at the COGS document, because what that does, to your point, comparing things to the entirety of Connecticut isn't entirely useful to us. You know, comparing Seymour to Greenwich is not
It's useless.
a fair comparison. So what they do is do regional comparisons, and they do a state median and a regional median.
Okay.
And so to your point, I think that would give you kind of the context you're looking for.
And it's probably,
that-
I'm gonna guess, Chris, I mean, you can look at the document, I agree, but I'm gonna guess it's an aggregate overall, because it's the state that came up with the figures. So yeah, we've got these super high numbers down in Fairfield County, but they've gotta take into consideration like Moosup and all these other like northern states that are even lower.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
the valley.
especially up in
And
like
some of the
Northeast.
lowest in the country are actually in Connecticut as well, in some of the urban zip codes. So.
And that
Well,
data is
that's
a
my concern, is we've got some communities that are skewing the numbers.
That data is available for individual communities because it's relevant to an analysis of an 830G application in a particular community.
Right.
So
And
if a
I've
Fairfield
got-
County town has a much higher number than that because of, what makes it affordable, what's the number, below which it's affordable. So there is data out there for the specific communities, yes.
I'll be honest and say that me and my bonnet is the Spring Street thing, which we had to accept. So that's where the basis of my
Well,
argument comes from.
and-
Is the COGS document publicly available, or should I?
Yep, it's right on their website.
Okay.
And one thing I'll say, since you brought it up, it's in that document as well, so when you read it, you'll see it. But to Chris's point, the state of Connecticut has a 10% affordable housing goal for every community. Until you meet that goal, any 830G application that otherwise meets all of planning and zoning's requirements cannot be denied. And so, it may behoove us to try to bring in affordable housing, under our, in ways that we prefer, because otherwise we're going to keep getting these applications that planning and zone might otherwise try to deny that they won't be able to.
But since they denied it, they're the ones working on that.
So the statute that requires this plan did not specify which body should be doing it. Planning and zoning was undergoing a complete revision of their regulations, and that's why I did it instead of them. This document has to be updated every 5 years going forward, and in the future I think it would make sense to have planning and zoning downtown. And Seymour's at 5.7% currently.
What is the board's pleasure?
Do we need to do anything on this? I mean, the information's here.
I think Rory had asked that you vote on this in December. He just wanted to bring it to your radar and give you copies.
So we'll wait it on December. Okay. Discussion and take possible action regarding the Title IX resolution. We had the Seymour Sports Hall of Fame banquet beginning of November, and in there we did the honoring of the anniversary of Title IX. Mr. Stanek, will you give me the pleasure, because we did not read that resolution into the minutes, according to Rory? We read the other resolutions into the minutes, but Title IX, would you please read in the Title IX
Okay, I
resolution?
understand it's been revised slightly. Okay. Thank you, Madam First Selectwoman. Seymour Board of Select Persons Resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Whereas 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX, a landmark federal law that prohibits sex discrimination in education. While it might be best known for its role in gender equality in athletics, Title IX is not just about sports, and whereas it is a prohibition against sex discrimination in education and addresses discrimination against pregnant and parenting students and women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math programs. It also covers sexual harassment, gender-based discrimination, and sexual violence, which includes attempted or completed rape or sexual assault, as well as sexual harassment, stalking, voyeurism, exhibitionism, verbal or physically sexually based threats or abuse, and intimate partner violence. Whereas President Richard Nixon signed Title IX into law on June 23, 1972, after Representative Patsy Mink, a Democrat from Hawaii, the first woman of color elected to the House of Representatives, helped steer the legislation through Congress. It covers most K-12 schools, colleges, and universities, as well as vocational schools, libraries, and museums, which means not only millions of students, but educators as well. Title IX applies to athletics, the classroom, sexual assault, and violence on campus, employment discrimination, admissions, retaliation, and even financial assistance with tuition. Title IX remains vital in the continuing push for equality, including in the LGBTQ community. Then it be it therefore resolved that we, the members of the Seymour Board of Select Persons, applaud and support Title XIX and the educational and athletic benefits realized by the people of the town of Seymour over the past 50 years as a result of Title XIX. Dated at Seymour, Connecticut, and adopted, hopefully, by the Seymour Board of Select Persons on this 15th day of November, 2022.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Motion by Trish,
Second.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion?
As stated in the resolution, Title IX goes way beyond athletics. Everybody thinks about Title IX as creating athletic opportunities for women, young ladies, girls in athletics, but it goes way beyond that. And it's great that our citizens, our women in our town, our girls have benefited from that legislation over the past 50 years. Because when I graduated from Seymour High School in 1972, Title IX was not in effect, and the only women's sports available were intramural in nature, no team women's sports. After that, starting 1973, we had women's sports teams.
I coach girls at the high school level in the past, and I have been coaching female referees for a very long time. Title IX is the single most important piece of legislation that I can think of in years, since really the 19th Amendment, in regards to the quality of life for young women. It is irreparable, and anything that we can do to give a team in our local community is critical. I say that having just gotten the score of our girls volleyball team, something that they didn't have an opportunity to do, have a statewide semifinal in select person standings day. We've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
I concur with those comments.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 3-0. 5-0, thank you. Okay,
Score.
3-0. We lost.
They went down.
All right, item number 12, Select Women's Report. I had the great opportunity to go to the Sports Hall of Fame banquet on November 5th, where we honored our many outstanding athletes. No problem. That was quite an honor. Attorney Bruno, really, Selectman Bruno went with me to that, on that. Veterans Day, great showing at the Seymour Middle School. That is done, as well as French Park. And again, what was supposed to be at the Broad Street Park, but was actually in the community center. Wonderful turnout for that. Great job by the VFW and the American Legion Hall. We talked about the Valley Foundation when Rory did his affordable housing, which is really the workforce housing is what it's called now, because they use the ALICE standard, where affordable housing is based on the federal standards. And in the Valley, it's the numbers they ran, it's quite odd that 19% of the total Valley is above 65 and 19% is below the age of 18. So I think in going and listening and hearing what everybody says, I know we're getting the accessory dwelling units brought to this board. It's important to me. I come from a generation of Italian and Spanish families where you lived with your grandparents, and then, you know, the old saying, as my father says, we raise the children, then the children raise us, right? I think it's very important that we have this brought into Seymour. It's accepted somehow, some way, so that we could not only take care of our parents, our grandparents, but we may have younger children who need to have the care, and they can't be on their own, or we don't want them on our own. So it's very important that we take care of our own. So when this comes to this board, I want to make sure that when it comes to us, we are taking care of our own, because this is Seymour, and that's what we're made of. Seymour's a very small town, but we have a very big heart. And I want to make sure we take care of not just our young generation, but our young at heart generation. So I hope when we have a lot of good going back on that. The other thing that was brought up is that the housing units, housing pricing, as we all have gone up, right? But did you know that no one can really afford to buy a house now because it costs so much, so they're looking for rental units. Well, rent went up 40%. So what you're paying for rent is really a mortgage payment. So, right. So I don't know how we expect our college kids, when they're coming out of college, to have student loans, to pay to live on their own, and they're going to be doing what we're doing now. Do I pay my rent? Do I get electricity, or do I buy food? So it's crazy the way this is going. So we need to come together and figure that out as well.
All right. Oh,
I'm under my select woman's report.
no, I was just thinking in my head.
We saw.
That's why I stopped.
Continue.
You make fun of my clicking?
Sorry. Chris, you left that wide open.
I'm not a good poker player.
Like quarters later. That's really all I have under my select woman's comments. I will comment later on after we are done on certain things. How's that? Appointments. In your packet, you have the appointments. So, funny thing is, we have the parade committee, and the parade committee has to be reappointed, or we don't have a parade this year.
I believe it should be called the events committee now, though.
It should, but it's not.
Parade and events.
Parade and events committee.
Okay.
So, we'll go through the parade committee. They're all reappointments for 11/15/2024. We know that there are people resigning or retiring off this board, and we're going to have to replace them. But in order for us to have our Christmas, our holiday parade, and our events, we have to put them back on the board. So, as far as the parade committee, I'll say Alex Danka, parade committee reappointment, 2 years.
All right, let's,
Well,
if nobody has any opposition, I'll make a motion to appoint Alex Danka, John Stelma, Preet Singh, and Stephanie Danka to the parade committee as a reappointment for 2 years, expiring November 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trish, seconded by Pat Lombardi. Discussion.
I heard something.
No, seconded by,
Made by me,
thank you. Seconded by Pat Lombardi, motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Chris Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm blaming the orange cleaner.
Your motion. She made the
You
motion.
made the motion,
I
right?
thought
Trish made the motion.
Pat made the same motion.
This happens a lot. I speak and then someone says,
Exactly.
I make, yeah.
Quinn
it's
Livy,
okay.
Public Works.
I'm gonna start spiking this thing, so.
so moved.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Trish, all in favor?
Aye.
Open burning officials, we'll do all three at one. Tim Willis, Paul Wedowitz, Tom Amy, the reappointments for 1 year, expiring on 11/15/2023.
So moved.
Motion by Chris Bowen,
Second.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Leanne McMurray, Veronica Hoffman, Pearson Memorial, reappointment 1 year, 11/15/2023.
I will make the motion to reappoint Leanna McMurray and Veronica Hoffman to the Pearson Memorial Committee.
Motion by Fred Stanek,
Second.
second by Trish Danka. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Brian Ryan, South Central Regional Board of Directors, it's a reappointment for 1 year, 11/15/2023. Motion by Pat Lombardi,
Second.
second by Trish Danka. All in discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Eric Napolitano, Economic Development Commission, appointment 3 years, 11/15/2025.
So moved to add Aaron Napolitano to the Economic Development Commission.
Motion by Chris Bowen,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. That's appointment. Brenda White, Housing Authority, it's a reappointment for 4 years, 11/15/2026.
So moved.
Motion by Pat Lombardi,
I'll second the motion.
second by Fred Stanek. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. There are 3 tax refunds and abatements. So the first one dated 10/14/2022. Can I have a motion
So moved.
Motion by Chris,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion, you're gonna ask why there's three? Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna ask why there's three. I got lost.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Chris Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait. Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. 1028. Motion by?
So moved.
So, motion by Chris
Second.
Bowen, second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. 1110. Motion by
I'll make the motion.
Trish Danka, second by somebody.
Seconded.
Second by Chris Bowen. Discussion? Chair, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
I'll ask you after the meeting.
Why is there, because we didn't have a meeting, they didn't put it in for the 10-5 meeting. We didn't have a meeting 10-8, we had a meeting 10-18.
Right.
It wasn't in there. We didn't have a meeting the first
Okay.
week of November.
Got it.
Now we have this one, that's why there's three.
Doesn't take much to like throw me for a
Threw
loop.
us all off, I know.
I usually make those motions and I was a little tripped up, like,
So
what
was
is this?
In your packet correspondence, this may make some people happy. May not make some people happy at all, may make some people very happy. Joe Kuzak is letter of resignation as far as the assessor. He is leaving November 7th. Was his last day. He is staying on part-time until our grand list has been signed off on. So he's staying on part-time until then. And then after that, I think he's staying on until March, right? Somewhere around there. We have put out for a new tax assessor. They did post for that, correct, Rory? Right. And then Joseph Zeal, he is resigning from the chairman of planning and zoning. He is moving to Shelton. So we are looking, I think they gave us a name for somebody for the board. We have to look at, we're working on that. So that is under correspondence. Holy Toledo, number 16, public comment. Is there any public comment? Any public comment?
My name is Ann D'Angelis, 82 North Burnham Road, and I just want to say thank you for your report and for supporting ACUs for the town of Seymour. There are also other housing opportunities within that law that weren't addressed at all with the zoning regulations, which may help you, the people, and all of us here have a great life in Seymour. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment?
My name is James D'Angelis, 82 North Bend Road. I'm Ann's husband. I'm not sure if Ann's going to get mad at me for saying this, but
So her name is Ann, right?
Ann,
So, go ahead.
I'm James.
Yeah.
I agree with the planning and zoning commission about their decision to opt out. While they made suggestions of proposed amendment to the zoning regulations related to these, I think it's much easier for the town to do that. And I agree with 95% of the recommendations. I just hope that the zoning board agrees to adopt the recommendations that they mentioned during the last zoning meeting. Whether or not they're going to do that, I'm not sure, but from what I've heard, I agree with that decision. Right, that they do adopt. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? No other public comment. We'll go on to selectmen comment, and I will hold my selectmen comment till last. Selectman Bowen.
Congrats to the girls volleyball team for making the state semifinal in Class M. Unfortunately, didn't go their way, but always good to see them advancing. Want to thank everybody who went to and, in some cases, emceed various veterans ceremonies throughout the past week. As adjutant for the Legion Post, I'm very appreciative of Selectman Stanek for always being there for us. Everybody on this board has always been there for us. Both elementary schools had us go and talk to the fourth graders. I'm very thankful that we have such a tight community. One thing that people tell me frequently is they thank me for my service, being a serviceman, and I very much appreciate it. But I always found it weird that we equate service with uniforms and, in these cases, weapons, whether it's military or police and fire. When really everybody that tells me that can just as easily be more effective to their community in service, whether it's helping a food bank, whether it's volunteering on a board, or helping, just doing anything that you can to help you better, be a fellow man or woman. I just want to, while I appreciate the Veterans Day thanks that people give us, it's much more useful to find a way to serve the community, which anybody of any age can do, than it is to do a job, which thankfully by my generation everybody had, the draft was a thing of the past, than to do a job and hold a weapon. That's it.
Thank you. Selectman Stanek?
Yes, thank you, Madam First Selectwoman.
You're welcome.
Just wanted to comment that last week was a momentous week for the country. Not only did we vote, which is the foundation of our democracy, we also honored our veterans. I think it was a momentous week. I would like to report about the move of the central office of the Board of Education. I've had the privilege of chairing the central office relocation committee. The central office moved into its new central office. The central office staff moved into the new central office of the Board of Ed, located at 2 Botsford Road, Seymour High School, to the rear, to the 6 classrooms of the 1969 wing of the class of the high school have been converted into the offices. The work has exceeded my expectations. I think the office is it's just a wonderful operational center to deliver the services that we need to deliver to our children. The office staff, the custodians, the security staff all contributed to the move, along with the professional moving firm, and it was quite the task. A lot of items in the old central office that they didn't know they had. While the former central office has a lot of charm, the new central office meets handicapped accessibility requirements. I think that's the most important reason that we are moving to central office, because the prior central office in the old annex school is not handicapped accessible. And like I said, I think the result exceeds my expectations. Much of the work was done by the custodial staff. We saved substantial money that way. Although we paid custodians overtime, we still saved substantial money from hiring other firms to do much of the work. And I encourage everyone to visit the central office. We will have a grand opening reception sometime in December, and everyone is invited to that reception also.
Thank you, Selectman Stanek. Selectman Dink?
I just want to mention for people who have taken the time to come out and sit through this entire meeting tonight, thank you.
Thank you.
As far as public comment goes, if anyone does not know, we're not allowed to comment during public comment. So please don't think that you coming out and speaking was not appreciated or not listened to. We're not allowed to. So that's like a rule, not our rule. That's Robert's rules. They're kind of dumb if you ask me, but that's how it is. I can understand why many people will not be upset that Mr. Kuziak is retiring. However, I do want to mention and thank him for
Many
his
years of
service, because he is just a wealth of knowledge, and I actually have told him I don't think he should ever retire, just because he has so much information. He is a black and white person, follows that code to a T. It's not always appreciated, because that's how, this is it, no more, but he definitely knows what he's doing, so thank you for the many years that you've worked for the town in that capacity. Rightfully so, Selectman Stanek kind of stole my thunder because he's chairman of the Central Office Committee, but I had a pleasure to sit on that committee with him. And I wasn't really sure how this was going to work out, but watching it go from something that's conceptual to what it is today, it's really amazing. So thank you for leading that, Selectman Stanek, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. Always supportive of it, because it's really important as we spend money in town to improve our buildings, and knowing that we need to find locations, what can we use that we have the capacity to use and save the taxpayers money. So having the space at the high school and having that work done there, and needing a place for central office to go to, most importantly because the elevator is not in operation, just so incredibly important, and I'm very proud of that work. So I hope people who can go out to the open house, they go see what's been done, because it's really great work done by a lot of our employees, which also saved a whole boatload of money. So impressive, the people that we have in town with these skills that are working for us, so incredible. Thank you. And lastly, Santa Claus is coming to the Land Trust on December 10th and being welcomed in with fireworks as usual. I'm convinced he actually sets them off, so it's praying for good weather. Might be cold, but as always, there'll be hot chocolate, and please come out and join us. And that's all I have.
Selectman Lombardi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am thoroughly disgusted to know that someone would paint vehicles I've been here 42 years. I've never heard of anything like this. Never. And I certainly offer you my apologies. Absolutely no need for it. And hopefully your issues will be worked out by the applicable board, and hopefully a resolution will be satisfactory for all. To my fellow board members, the residents of our community, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. So in regards to Tibbetts Road, I happen to know there was red paint on the road because I live in that neighborhood and I walk my dog in that neighborhood. So when Mrs. Alterio came in to complain about Joe, we started talking about Tibbetts Road and what was going on, and I said, I understand what's going on in Tibbetts Road. I understand Tibbetts Road very well because I walk my dog in that area. And there was red paint on the ground and on the road and on because my dog had paint on their paw. So I understand why there was red paint. So interfering with the police report, the police were called, that was up there. So there was no interfering with a police investigation. There was commenting about the police investigation because I let her know that I understand what Tibbetts Road is going on, what is going on at Tibbetts Road. I see the trucks, I see the people outside, I see the kids playing on the roads, I see people walking their dogs, I see people jogging there. I'm well aware what goes around in the town. I don't need to feel as if I'm being reprimanded because I mentioned something that I see in my neighborhood. Mr. Stanek, you live up there, you walk the neighborhood as well. You maybe not walk down Stanek Road. You may not walk down Tibbetts Road, but you walk the neighborhood. Well, you used to, right? So, me commenting to a resident who was coming in and complaining about something that was going on, you know, it wasn't a investigation involving myself in a police investigation. However, I am the first select woman for the town of Seymour, for the residents of Seymour that live in Seymour, and I'm here to hear all the complaints, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I do work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Selectman Bowen can attest for that. And I want to hear it all. I want to hear if you're happy, if you're not happy, and what we can do to change it. I've always said that since I've been on the board since 2007. So if there's an issue, I want to know about it. I want people to come to the meetings and voice their concerns. I feel awful that your house was hit, that somebody came onto your property. It was mischief night. I understand that. And there is a police investigation ongoing. I feel awful that your personal cars were hit. You know, there was no need for that. No need for that, because that's a lot of money. But, and knowing that there's red paint on the ground is because I walk the area, I live in the area. So, that is mine. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Chris Bowen, second by Pat Lombardi. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.